Morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aiche, Femi Ayodele, Sam Oruoje, and Idahosa Osamanze.
Is a critical element of managing the employee-employer relationship, particularly from...
The problem in Nigeria is not corruption, and everybody seems to be very surprised that corruption is not a problem.
How can indigenous languages be promoted in a country like this?
Statistics show that less than 10% of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, has have access to health insurance. You imagine if our population is about 200 million. And
this is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, it's another beautiful day, another great day. Today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday, so they always say, another great time for us to talk about business, finance, national issues, and the economy. I am Femi Ayodele. Today we are set to give you the best of programming as you are getting set for your weekend. Well, we're getting set to give you the best of programming for the next 3 hours to inform you, to educate you. Because as far as Early Exchange is concerned, our obligation is to shape policy and advance development with our obligation. Today, we are set to do that. We're going to talk about tourism and the hospitality industry in Nigeria. We're going to give you vibes in this area because we are getting set for the weekend. And so you should also get set to join us in this broadcast. We hope as we spend the next 3 hours with us, we'll make your day remarkable and even unforgettable. All right, let's set the ball rolling with news update, but that will come right after this short break. Stay with us.
Good morning and welcome to the morning news update on Souk News. I am Juvi Ufiene. Today's bulletin centers around major developmental happenings in Nigeria and around the world. We begin the news from Nigeria. The federal government says it remains poised to scaling up Nigeria's port rating in the global maritime space. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, revealed this at the commissioning of the Mission to Seafarers MTS Center in Lagos, and added that the move is apt, especially with increasing global competition, which has become imperative for nations to make conscious efforts to deepen the competitiveness on their ports. He added that improving Nigeria's balance of trade, which is crucial to strengthening the value of the naira and creating employment, is top on Mr. President's policy agenda, stressing that given the pivotal roles that the maritime sector plays in actualizing the noble objective, the Federal Ministry of Maritime opened up new vistas of growth. The Senate has confirmed Musa Aliyu as the substantive chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, ICPC. His confirmation followed a screening exercise held yesterday at the plenary. Aliyu, a lawyer and Attorney General of Jigawa State, was screened at the committee chaired by the Deputy Senate President Jibril Barau. In efforts to protect citizens from harm caused by terrorists and extremists across the country. Troops of the Operation Delta Safe, OPDS, have recovered over 962,000 In efforts to protect citizens from harm caused by terrorists and extremists across the country, troops of the Operation Delta Safe, OPDS, have recovered over 962,000 liters of crude oil, 35,420 liters of diesel, and 38,450 liters of kerosene. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, who disclosed this, explained that the troops also neutralized 73 terrorists and arrested 182 of them and rescued 68 kidnapped hostages. According to him, the troops also recovered 119 assaulted weapons and 1,537 assaulted ammunition, including 1 GPMG, 3 PKT guns, amongst others. And ahead of the governorship elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has asked media practitioners in the country to form a bulwark against fake news. He said INEC welcomes reports on elections, but that the media should also strictly adhere to ethics of journalism. Professor Yakubu said the best antidote to fake news is greater openness, regular and consistent engagement with stakeholders, adding that the Commission will continue to work with media in this regard. He also disclosed that about 94 media organizations deploying 1,255 personnel have been accredited to cover the off-circle elections in 3 states. Following the federal government decision to introduce HPV vaccine into routine immunization system to prevent cervical cancer, schoolgirls aged 9 to 14 years have received the human papillomavirus vaccine at the junior secondary school at Sokoro, Abuja. The vaccination, which targets over 7 million girls, is the largest number in single round of HPV vaccination in African Union, according to reports. Girls aged 9 to 14 years receive a single dose of the vaccine, which prevents HPV type 16 and 18, known to cause at least 70% of cervical cancers. The vaccine is provided at no cost by the Federal Ministry of Health through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the Vaccine Alliance, the United Nations Children's Fund, the World Health Organization, and other partners. And in a bid to enhance livestock production through effective value chain strategy that provides jobs and creates wealth for livestock farmers in Gombe State, the state government is set to implement the World Bank Livestock Production and Resilience Support Project. This was reviewed by the Secretary to the State, Professor Ibrahim Njodi, when he received the national coordinator of the project, Sanusi Abubakar, at the State House. While speaking on the impact of the project, Professor Abubakar noted that a 6-year project is expected to strengthen national institutional framework for robust livestock production, upscale livestock farmers' knowledge, and prevent and manage herders' conflict. It's time to take a breather, and when we return, we'll get more stories. Don't go away. Glad to know you're still there. And away from Nigeria to South Africa, where state-owned logistic company Transnet has requested an equity injection from government to support its recovery plan and reduce debt. The board chairman, Andley Sanku, noted that Transnet's turnaround plan, which aims to restore freight volumes and profitability over the next 18 months, is reliant on government assistance. While exact funding amounts was not disclosed, Media report estimated to be above 100 billion rand. This request comes as a result of the company's decline in performance, which has resulted in a decrease in freight volumes, impacting mineral exports and leading to a loss of potential revenue. As such, the Transnet aims to restructure its freight rail subsidiary, seek private operators for rail network access, and divest non-core assets. Still in South Africa, in a bid to address regular power cuts that have hindered economic growth in the country, the World Bank has approved a $1 billion loan to South Africa in reforming its energy sector. The loan will aid the country's effort to split struggling power company, Eskom, and transition towards a low-carbon economy. World Bank's Director for South Africa, Marie-Francois Marinelli, noted that the government's reform would have wide-ranging benefits for the people, the economy, the environment, and the energy transition. The Director General of Dubai Health Authority, DHA, Awad Senhaya Al-Kepti, has expressed optimism of the future of Dubai's healthcare sector and the choice of making Dubai a premier destination for health tourism. These were disclosed at the inauguration of Premier Diagnostic Center's Advanced Laboratory, equipped with state-of-the-art medical technologies, incorporated with artificial intelligence-based equipment. In addition to stressing the crucial role played by the private sector in this regard, Al-Kebbi affirmed that the favorable investment environment in Dubai's healthcare sector motivates the private sector to expand its medical facilities, attract international healthcare institutions, further enhancing Dubai's operation. Experts at the Shagar Entrepreneurship Center, Shera, have stressed the role that family businesses play in UAE's economy and its chances of managing risk. While speaking at the 6th International Family Business Forum, IFBF 2023, the summit that the UAE government has shown its commitment to supporting family business through initiatives like the Tabat Family Business Program, which encourages investment in new economic sectors, including startups. The expert also stressed the importance of strategic engagement, empowerment, and continuous evolution for the future success of family businesses in the region, adding that investing in startups, family businesses can tap into new technologies, innovative ideas, and emerging markets, contributing to the UAE's economic growth. BP's electric vehicle charger unit, BP Pulse, has announced a $100 million order of Tesla ultra-fast chargers for deployment across the United States, marking the first time Tesla charger will be used on an independent network. The purchase is part of BP Pulse's larger plan to invest up to $1 billion in charging stations in the US by 2030 and provide Tesla with a new source of revenue. The chargers will be installed at BP brands like Travel Centers of America and Amoco, as well as the third-party locations through partnership with companies like Hertz. BP Pulse CEO Richard Bartlett sees this as a significant step toward achieving their goal of establishing high-speed, open-access charging infrastructure in the U.S. This collaboration between BP Pulse and Tesla not only strengthens both companies, but also contributes to the expansion and accessibility of electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the United States. And that's all we can take today on the Morning News Update on Soup News. Stay tuned as I return you to where Femi Ayodele and Blessing Eije are standing by. I am Juvi Ofiene. Good morning.
Hi, my name is Fred Amata, and you are on to Souk News.
If you are watching this channel for the first time, make sure you continue to watch it because this is Souk News.
Shout out to Souk News. Actually, I don't know. I really enjoyed the little moment I spent with you, and I think with more of this.
Souk News. Here's the Souk News, who had the courage to transcend a locked-off camera and actually have a conversation with a human being. It's a pleasure, Souk News. Thank you very much.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later under the British indirect rule. It surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, Souk Enlightenment. Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange with Blessing Aiche, Femi Ayodele, Sam Orubuche, and Idahosa Osamanze.
Is a critical element of managing the employee-employer relationship, particularly from...
The problem in Nigeria is not corruption. And everybody seems to be very surprised. That corruption is not a problem.
How can indigenous languages be promoted in a country like this?
Statistics show that less than 10% of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, has, have access to health insurance. You imagine if our population is about 200 million. And,
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, glad you have you join us once again. It's time for news analysis, where we review the major headlines trending today. And like I always say, Early Exchange will always get bigger and better. It's getting better. And we have a new addition to the team. And, our in-house analyst and our news analyst, Juvie, is joining us this morning. Juvie, glad to have you here.
Same here. Good morning, Femi. Good morning. Blessing, you look dapper.
Thank you. It's Friday.
It's Friday,
it's
I
good to
guess.
always look this
Yeah.
way, and it's good to know that you joined the wise ones.
So
That's
we
Femi describes.
inducted you into the school of the wise ones.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here on the
Same
table.
here, same here.
All right, let's start with the maritime sector. That sector has been renamed, marine and blue economy. And we'll start with the story that says the federal government has remained committed to scaling up Nigeria's port rating in the global maritime space. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, revealed this at the commission of the Mission for Seafarer Centers in Lagos. Now, the Minister for Blue Economy, Marine and Blue Economy, the former governor of Osun State, Boyega, is trying to reaffirm the commitment of the federal government to scale up the rating of Nigeria when it comes to, maritime industry in Nigeria. You will agree with me that, the need to rename that industry came out of the need to redefine the responsibility and also to tap resources inherent in blue economy. Before now it has been Ministry for Marine and, Maritime, but this is coming up because the interest now is coming up when it comes to blue economy. Blue economy is not a new thing, but in recent times, the federal government has taken interest in it because they feel it's also part of a way of generating revenue to expand the revenue net and to take advantage of resources inherent in oceans and, in maritime. And so the minister is coming up with this policy that to scale up, the maritime industry. When you look at the maritime industry in Nigeria, there are a lot of issues, to address. Talking about the cost of doing business in the Nigerian ports or seaports is very high. You look at the cost, the presence of several agencies, you have NADAC, if you need to clear your goods, the time, the hours you're going to spend at the port. Even look at the access route to the port. To access the port itself, instead of taking you like few hours, you spend days, even sometimes weeks. And that's why the cost of demurrage, the cost of logistics is so high. And that's why you see importers or exporters or those who want to clear their goods, they prefer to route those things to neighboring ports because it's cheaper. The cost of doing businesses at the Nigerian seaports, is just high because you have to pay for this agency. You go to and even the bottleneck associated with it.
Too much bureaucracy.
It's too much bureaucracy. And I think these are part of the things the minister needs to address.
Yes, and it's part of the ministry's mission to make Nigerian port more competitive because you talked about some of the reasons Nigerian importers use neighboring countries' ports. So it means that a lot of business that should have come to Nigerian port are being diverted to neighboring ports.
The loss of revenue.
Loss of revenue. So if you do not make your port in the way that it enables easy import and export, this is what you would get. So making it competitive means addressing some of the charges and even the tariffs and expanding it. We have different ports. So the blue economy is supposed to target other ports around Nigeria because the focus mainly is Lagos. And I understand why too, because it's quite easy for goods to come in to Lagos and then go to other parts of the country. But there are other ports that can serve other regions closer to them. Even if it's river port, it may not be a seaport, but it can have some capacity to decongest the Lagos port port. So that would make it easy for goods that are coming in, maybe for the eastern region. There was a time that there were plans to develop the Anambra port. So those are areas that can be looked at. Even the Warri port is also there. So if some issues that made the port not to have a huge capacity to handle lots of imports coming in is addressed, then it decongest the Lagos port. And you talked about different agencies. Yes, they will tell you that they need to check what is coming into the country. But if there's a way this can be sped up, equipment are needed to ensure that for scanning of some of the containers, you don't have to offload containers entirely. So some of these things are processes that delays the entire thing. But I know that the new wise one has some things to say about that.
Well, I think it's a good thing that we are looking at, revamping the economy, the new, for us, it's a new ministry, the marine and blue economy. But like you said, it's not necessarily a new stuff happening anywhere. Outside the shores of Nigeria, you find many countries benefiting immensely already. But unlike what we have here, and like some of the problems or challenges we've already stated, is the fact that we are not putting these to good use. And like the minister was saying, all heads of agencies, they would have to come up with creative ways of doing things. And also we will have to checkmate the piracy, the pirates, issues of pirates on the sea as well. And also look at not just using roads to move majority of our stuff. Why not you move them across the sea? I mean, with the new Lekki port now, I think when that becomes operational fully, we'll have more revenues coming from that area. But also the problem with Nigeria is not just because we don't have good ideas. It's just the people manning these agencies are really little lax, if you admit me to use that word, in administering what they do, because there are loopholes and we are aware of these loopholes, but we just are not ready to tackle these problems heads on. And I think that's really one of our challenges.
And part of the reason some officers or some agencies may not be willing to tackle some of the loopholes, not that if they're not aware of it, is because it enables corrupt practices to go on. And this hampers business. This doesn't make business flow well. It increases the cost of business, which you've rightly mentioned, because imagine you have to spend, your container spend lots of days before it's being cleared. That adds to your cost. And sometimes adding it to, or transferring it to the consumer, it takes a longer time for them to clear off those goods in the market, because you understand that people are battling with purchasing power, because the removal of fuel subsidies affected lots of people. Revenue coming in or income coming in doesn't seem to be enough to cater to basic needs. So the purchasing power of consumers have declined. So when your goods are more expensive, what would take you maybe like a month to sell off may take you 2 months, because demand is not as high as it used to be, except it's a very essential commodity that people have no choice but just to buy. So these are some of the factors that they should also consider.
These are the factors that also make the cost of logistics very expensive. When you look at the number of hours you're going to spend at the port, something that should cost at least maybe 200,000 naira. By the time you look at the number of days you're going to spend before you access the port, and even before you exit, because the roads are bad, something that should cost like 200,000 naira might cost you double of that. And so this is why it's important to see what this minister can do, especially the access road. In a lot of time, there's congestion on that. If you look at Apapa, Tinkan, that's the busiest spot in Nigeria, because the congestion, the interest, every focus is on Lagos. There's a need to decentralize it, yes, other ports in other states, to ensure that they are equipped, they are working. You have a station where, if this continues with the Lekki, seaport coming on board, the congestion in Lagos will become unbearable. And so there's a need to decentralize. Also, there's also a need to drive the process with technology. You hear situations when you get to the port that scanners are down, you know, they now resort to physical examination and all that, which would take time, you know, before you offload and you check those contents, you do physical examination. It's going to be energy sapping even for the custom officers or the officers who are in charge. So there's a need to drive this industry, maritime, you know, with technology to ensure that it makes it more competitive compared to other climes and other ports in other climes. All right, so let's give the minister a benefit of doubt now that he has resolved to scale up Nigerian sports, and we've set also agenda of some of the things he needs to do to ensure that these ports are working efficiently. Now let's go to the issue of corruption. In Nigeria, the issue of corruption is a serious subject. When you mention it, people say, all right. So I wonder why Juvie gave me that attitude, which was why I had to make reference to the issue of corruption.
It's
now,
like you hit the nail on the head. That's the issue.
So the news is the Senate has confirmed Musa Aliyu as the substantial chairman of Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, that's ICPC. His confirmation followed a screening held yesterday at the plenary. You know, Musa Aliyu is a lawyer, the Attorney General of Jigawa State. And now you have a new sheriff in town. There is always this approach when you have a new sheriff in town. You want to impress, you want to tell people you're this and that, you're ready for the job, you are the right person for the job. It's always there. But it's also important that you sustain the momentum. If you're starting on a good note, you have to end on a good note. So let's look at the issue of corruption in Nigeria. It's been of serious concern. Corruption, alleged corruptions, you know, in civil service, you know, it got to a point even the former president was saying that the issue of corruption became so serious that even corruption started fighting back, you know. So with a new person on board, what do you expect, Juvie?
Well, let's start with, let's hope. It's renewed hope. So I want our hopes to be high because almost always when we find new sheriff, new persons heading agencies and all that, they come in with the braggadocio, we're going to hit the ground running, we'll clear up everything. It's just a matter of 6 months and you find that the old guy just tell you, let him just do what he wants to do. We already are here, we've been here before and we know how to, you know, maneuver the system. And corruption is not, a great deal of the time we fought corruption from outside. It's more of a nature, it's human nature. Everywhere there's corruption in the most advanced economy in the world. It's only that there are systems there that makes it a little more harder for them to beat the system. But unlike ours, just pat my back, I pat your back, and we're off. And so we've had allegations. There are people that have been fined and confirmed, and nothing seems to be happening. We don't make a public spectacle of these are the people involved in this. They don't pay back, I mean, with something commensurate to what they did to the system. And it looks like the same guys get chieftaincy titles and they walk about. And so people are encouraged. If the system actually, and the judiciary needs to be truly, truly independent of the executive. Until the judiciary becomes independent of the executive, we might not, the old anti-graft agencies will try. Because when you get to the law court and the process that is supposed to take, let's say, 2 weeks or 2 days takes 3 months and someone falls off and say there is need for medical attention, you go abroad, we keep having the same thing and people say, oh, if this guy could go scot-free, let me also try it, and we have more than 1 or 2. So corruption is not something we can, we are going to be able to defeat in the immediate. But I'm saying let's give him a benefit of that. Let's see what he's going to bring in the on the table, because the word corruption is more of human nature than even, and it's not peculiar to Nigeria. It's just that we have been able to see people who are corrupt, but have gone in the society and displayed their wealth, ill-gotten wealth, and people feel, well, if this guy could do it, so can I. And so that's one of our problems.
Yes, I agree with Juvie. It's about modeling. Whatever you model, it becomes what people aspire to be and what they do. They talk about role models. Yes, if the role model of people is someone who has been corrupt or been accused of being corrupt, and you see the flamboyant lifestyle of the person, you see them going scot-free, or at best be given a slap on the wrist, and that's all. Why wouldn't you want to copy that? when people begin to say, or when teenagers, when the younger generation begin to say school has come, it comes from things like that. So it's what has been modeled in society. Now, the ICPC or any other anti-graft agency can do their bit, but they cannot do it without society's cooperation. And that's why there's a whistleblower policy. And though some persons too may want to use that for mischievous reasons, but they cannot on their own sometimes know of some corrupt practices ongoing. It takes a whistleblower to alert them that this is ongoing in a particular sector. And then when they're done investigating, they transfer to the judiciary, which is what Juvius talked about, that it depends on the judiciary. So to an extent, they're limited because they can only pursue cases to where their power ends. And so it depends on the judiciary. But when cases, adjudicating cases takes years, it takes long, and there are sometimes schemes that looks like a ploy to frustrate or to delay justice. And it seems like something that people begin to copy, like the excuse of needing medical attention, which seems a very good one that has been copied. At the point someone is being accused of being corrupt, and there are charges against the person. Why is it that is the point they need medical attention? Prior to that time, you never got to know, or it's never to public knowledge, that they had medical conditions that they were dealing with that were of serious nature. So at the time they have cases to answer to, that is when they need urgent medical attention, and that forestalls cases. That delays cases. That makes it a long time. And even the public that is interested and calling for these officers to be accountable, at some point they become tired because it seems like it's not getting to a logical conclusion, or justice is not going to be served. So these are things that should be worked on, while the ICPC and EFCC and other such agencies needs to be up and doing to ensure that they investigate matters thoroughly. But the judiciary needs to complement their efforts so that we should see justice served. And the thing where there is no name calling, there is no shaming. Why shouldn't there be shaming? If someone has done something bad, why can't you shame the person? Because I know that if someone steals a goat and is arrested by the police, we see some of this in crime watch programs. We see them in crime programs. They are shown, oh, these robbers were caught. They were apprehended. You know, we see them. So why can't we see corrupt officers that have been found guilty by Nigerian courts being displayed to the public to serve as a deterrent to others, that this is what you will also face if you go that path?
My own take will be for the ICPC chairman and any other personnel working with ICPC, even EFCC. There's this saying that you don't live in a glass house and you throw stones. He who comes with equity must come with clean hands. You've had in recent time reasons to have allegations against some of these EFCC chairmen, even some of these officers who are to be in position to ensure that corruption do not stand. There are several allegations again. I use the word allegations because some of them are still being tried. A good example is that of the former EFCC chairman who has just been released. And so you could imagine if someone who occupies that kind of office has that kind of allegations against him. It shouldn't exist in the first place because you are supposed to be incorruptible. Ideally you're supposed to, anything that has to do with corruption, allegations like that. Though I call it allegations, they are not being confirmed. But it also sends a signal when those allegations come against agencies like EFCC and ICPC. That's why they have to be very careful. You have former police officer, I don't want to mention him, but you know a name that comes to mind, who Nigeria once celebrated, and then allegations, were levied against him, and it led to issue of court cases. So my take to the new ICPC chairman is to ensure that you do what I call internal cleansing. The bad eggs in ICPC, in EFCC, you have to fish them out. Otherwise, they will, they will dampen the image of that agency. And then it's also important for us to understand that when it comes to corruption, it's a systemic problem. It's so endemic that it will not take one man. It takes everybody. It's an holistic approach. As far as government is doing its own thing, the agencies that are in charge have to do their own. Then citizens, we have to do it, because it takes two to tango. You can't say, okay, you want to go this way, and the other person is saying, go this way. And before you know it, it clashes with the interests of the country. So the most important thing is the agencies that are in charge of anti-corruption. You have to strengthen them, provide them the right resources, provide them the right funds and technology. You have a situation in Nigeria where you have people who are powerful than the system, who are more influential than the system, who are richer than the system. You have former state governors that have been tried. Where are they? What came out of it? You understand? Because these people can afford to hire senior advocates of 20 senior advocates. We have by EFCC, you have like 4 or people representing ICPC and EFCC. But these people, because they have money, they can hire 20 senior advocates. And when you bring all these senior advocates together, they can even intimidate a judge if the judge is not careful. So these are the issues that must be addressed, because these agencies, they have to be strengthened financially when it comes to operation, when it comes to technology, so that they can perform optimally, because we need to build institutions that are stronger. Why? There are corruption in other countries, but why, like what Juby said, why it seems as if things are getting better? Because the enforcement is very effective. You have people who are not bigger than the law, who don't see themselves to be above the law or bigger than the system. So there's a need to strengthen the Nigerian anti-corruption, system. Agencies like ICPC, EFCC to complement each other. There was this argument that there's a need to scrap more for the other or merge the two. I don't think that's the issue now. But you can't have too much meat in a menu. But what's more important is the effect and the productivity you get out of it. And so we are hoping that the new ICPC chairman will live up to expectation, because so much is given.
Much is expected.
Much is expected. All right, let's take the train of analysis to Kogi State ahead of the governorship elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. The chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakub, has asked media practitioners in the country to form a bulwark against fake news. Election time is almost there. The election will take place in a few days, and off-cycle election is always of concern, because interests are always at stake. Election here in Nigeria looks like war is coming, but it shouldn't be. It should be like a normal affair. If we're going to elect people who are going to serve us, why should it be so controversial? Julie, let me start with you. Well, fake news, the issue of fake news.
Fake news, who spreads fake news? What makes a news fake in the first place? A great deal of the time people will tell you it stems from even the media or practitioners, because someone from somewhere that is actually naive will not be able to get such. Yes, there are times where, especially in the social media, people manipulate things, and you see those things keep forwarded many times, and people just share things without actually verifying how true those things are. And also, speaking to election, Kogi is known for what it is. If I'm not talking of Imo and Bayelsa, Kogi, even the senatorial election, we know what happened with the lady Natasha Akpoti's, the case. When you see people come out the last election, there was major killings and maiming and ballot snatching, and it's like war, helicopters, hovering over communities, and there are the ethnic or tribal sentiment that comes to bear as well. Oh, these people have been ruling us. Now the question is, like, even you that are clamoring for, it's like other people ruling, what have you actually done? And for me, the problem is with the electorate, not even the politicians, because we need to start to ask ourselves, this person that is saying it's these people, it's this tribe, what have you actually done? How many times do we get to see you? We don't even have council, or should I say meetings. You don't come home, there's not that meeting, we get to see you. It's only when there is election time, 4 years, you come around and tell us, you give us some rice and all that, then you tell us it's a tribe that is against. It's not the tribe. And they learn the method of divide and rule. So you just pitch something against these people. Oh, we are Muslims, they are Christians, oh, that's why, oh, we are minority. But the truth is, everybody, whether minority or majority, if the roads are not good, everybody plies the road. And so why not we talk to the real issues, which is governance. Governance. And if people are serving, why do you need to even go around and give, I want to serve you? Why do I need to give you money to serve you?
That's the thing. It is not about service. It should be about service, but as we've come to see, it isn't about service. Because if it is about service, why do I need to be bribing you or buying lots of things to convince you that I want to serve you? Why do I need to hire thugs to steal ballot boxes just to serve the people? So it tells you from the beginning that this is not about service. A lot of times it is about the gains because of the perks that have been attached to public offices, elected positions. There's so much. It becomes so lucrative. So that's why you have the warlike situation. If it was about service, you wouldn't have it that way. You would have people even say, oh, we think Femi, you can lead us, we want you. So it would be you even thinking about how can I deliver. But because it's about gains, imagine people spending a lot of money to buy things, to get groups to endorse them. Don't you even think, how are they going to recoup that money? So that's why it says the service thing has left. And we have enabled it by the perks that we constantly add to these offices. If they are removed, I bet you there will be no war. It will then be a thing about who is ready to serve. That's when you will have it. And then talking about fake news, it depends on what you call fake news. Because it sometimes becomes a fight between one party and the other. So one party is granted interview, although the media has a rule of you must ensure balance. If you have candidates from different parties and you're calling them to a debate or you're bringing them to a discourse, then you must ensure you have representatives from other ones to bring a balance. But let's assume somebody talks about something. So because it's from the opposing side, it is considered fake news. So I think we need to begin to look at what we term fake news. Yes, there's a lot of propaganda ongoing during election times.
Let me tell you,
it should be more about not doing things or saying things that incite rather than just about fake news. Because fake news, sometimes you don't get it from the conventional media. You get from broadcasts, you get from social media platforms. But again, we hear the advice or we hear the admonition and the media will take to it.
Why INEC is concerned is, let me share with you the experience I had, the last Kogi election, the last election I was there. We have a station where some people will just sit somewhere and release results. That's exactly part of what INEC is talking about. INEC is the only organization that has the obligation to release results. But you hear some people, from maybe chieftains who have interest somewhere, before the election is even concluded, they release results on websites. And when you go on those websites, you are like, imagine, some of them are not even on ground to see what is happening. So this is part of one of the challenges that you encounter when it comes to covering election. And that's why INEC is more serious about it this time around, because it misleads. You have, a few days ago we talked about media information literacy. You have a lot of illiteracy, even for people who claim to be literate, because they don't have the right understanding when it comes to critical thinking, when it comes to information. You get an information, they won't verify. So this comes to bear because it's very important before you spread that news, before you post that result, verify. Because INEC is the only one, the only commission who has that legal and the right obligation to release results. Therefore, as the election approaches, this age of stomach infrastructure, there's a need for us to understand better than now that it's just about service. People are offering you money. Will they serve your interest when they get there? If they spend billions of naira now, do you think they will want to recoup that money when they get there? So we should understand that it's all about development, not about stomach infrastructure. Most of the time, the electorate, they always think of the short-term gains, what I can get now, 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira. But in 4 years, the reality will stare at you. And so my encouragement to the electorates in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo as the election, approaches is to ensure that you elect the person who can serve the interests of the people, who will make your state better than the way it is.
All right, just to quickly respond to people releasing fake results, you barely see that on a conventional or media platforms. You see that done individually. People do that on Facebook, they do that via WhatsApp and some other platforms. They tell you, oh, this is the result. But it's then the responsibility of INEC to make known what is your site. Because we're talking about using having electronic voting. So what is your site? Where can people go to check results? And how quickly
Real-time
updates. If there's real-time update on INEC known site, what is the business of other people checking individual posts? So these are things that should be put into consideration, because the call is to media practitioners and not the general public. So that is why I want to speak to that you don't find such practices. And where such practices happen, you have the NBC to call such a media organization to check them and to sanction them where they have run foul of the regulations and the guidelines.
All right, the call is to everybody, media practitioner and the electorate, because it has to be a holistic approach to tackling fake news. Juby, I must thank you for breaking the jinx today.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, this is where we wrap up the news analysis. Let's go on a short break. When we return, our major discussion for today will kick off. It's Friday, so stay with us.
How can indigenous languages be promoted in a country like this?
Statistics show that less than 10% of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, has have access to health insurance. You imagine if our population is about 200 million.
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, it's still Early Exchange, and our obligation is to shape policy and advance development with our conversation. And today, our conversation will focus on tourism and hospitality industry in Nigeria. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council Center, it has been estimated that the hospitality industry accounts for 10% of global GDP and provides 1 in 10 jobs worldwide. This suggests that 1 in 10 workers in Nigeria is directly or indirectly employed in the hospitality industry. To shed more light on this and to provide better perspective, we are being joined by Chimeze Mike, the founder, Tourism Africana. Chimeze, glad to have you join us on Early.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on Safe News. Thank you.
Let's start by you providing this background of the huge potential inherent in tourism and hospitality in Nigeria. What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you so much. Tourism is a very big industry. Just to say, hospitality is a very big industry, and there's no one who is seeking a career path in the tourism and hospitality industry that can actually be left disappointed. That is because I'm speaking from experience perspective. I have started my career in tourism and hospitality, and I studied the program as a post-degree program. And I must say, there is no time you seek a let's say if you're looking for a job opportunity or whatever it is, or you want to go into entrepreneurship, there's a whole lot of potential, there's a whole lot of opportunities. There's a whole lot to achieve as an economy, as a nation, when tourism is being invested upon.
In the tourism and hospitality industry, what sectors have we been able to take advantage of?
Yeah, when it comes to the industry, tourism has been always a money-making sector. Tourism has always been a money-spinning sector. That is because when people travel or move to one place or the other, definitely they will need a shelter. And that's where you begin to see hospitality having a lot of occupancy and all of that. And that is when tourism and travels are being encouraged. So for us at Tourism Africania, we specialize on packaging both local and international tours. And then we look at also creating awareness about tourism and encouraging everyone in the society to ensure they partake in that aspect of realization. For those who are basically in the work environment, it is also important to find time to create a leisure moments together as a team and all of that. So we create, tours or package and curate packages that will also cut across any field, any aspect of life to ensure that people participate in tourism and see reasons to always have time to relax, that which leads to productivity and what have you.
All right, let's look at the hospitality sector in Nigeria. How will you assess the quality of service and what are the critical issues, combating with, offering quality service when it comes to the hospitality sector in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much. When it comes to quality is dependent on individual establishments, and also this can as well be assessed by customers or guests themselves. No individual organization will be able to state categorically that their service is 100%, except those assessments are given through customer feedbacks or guest feedbacks. And to get this very correct is by ensuring that standards are set for each organization practicing in the hospitality industry. And this is to say that, for any organization who wants to ensure that standards are put together is to ensure that they follow up what SON, Standard Organization of Nigeria, has been able to set up, and then having ISO certification standards and setting their own SOPs tailored towards these international standard organizations, criteria that have been put together. And in such a way, one can say quality assurance, quality standards can be achieved. And that is only gotten by service that are offered and experience and proper feedbacks gotten from customers themselves. And that's basically how we can attain quality service in Nigeria. And to tell you that most organizations in Nigeria are far from this, that's for some who are basically feels that hospitality service is just about revenues alone, and then forgetting the perspective of their customers or offering quality to customers. And that's, to me, I must say, Nigeria has a long way to go when it comes to this. Just only about chain hotels or chain brands that are offering service based on their linkage with international community that offers great standards to an extent. Of course, when they come to Nigeria, some of them reduce some of these standards, but of course SON and SON and the government has a lot to do in regulating some of these services that are offered to Nigerians.
About reduced standard, is it a function of people wanting to increase their profits, or not knowing exactly what should be the ideal standard? Some people go to school to study hospitality management, and then they come out, work in one hospitality sector or the other. Some get on-the-job training. So how does this work with knowing the true standard or what you should do in the hospitality sector in terms of delivering quality service to your customers? So what informs the kind of standard? Is it about profit or knowledge?
Okay, I must say it all starts from knowledge. It all starts from knowledge. That's exactly what we do at Tourism Africa, promoting tourism and hospitality education in Africa. And to say this is that, of course, you can basically not practice what you don't know. So it has to start from creating the awareness and getting your staff to know what to do at every point in time. You know, a lot of organizations have, SOP, standard operating procedures created for them probably by their consultants who for once have never, taken up a training to show their new or current employees what those standards is all about. Of course, for every aspect of the hospitality unit, there is an SOP that is meant to be created for this unit. For instance, if you're going to the restaurant, for instance, there is what we call sequence of service. Now, these are procedures, step-by-step, activities that are meant to be carried out by these staff, and we see these as SOPs, all right? So if these employees are not being taken through training to know exactly what to do at every point in time in order to deliver quality service to the guest who steps into the restaurant, it becomes a very big gap. And that is where training comes in. That is where every organization in the hospitality sector must prioritize training at every point in time and making sure that the standards which are set are being followed by individual employees or individual member of the organization. And by so doing, the guests and the customers will become so much more satisfied, and they can even make references, and they can also do a repeat patronage to the hospitality establishment. Exactly, that's what is expected. So where the gap is on the knowledge, and of course, there should be a quality regulations to ensure proper inspections. When necessary, there should be renovations, and all of this, if they are being followed, of course, things will be achieved as it should.
Okay, for personnel or players in the hospitality industry, what kind of training, is essential or essential? We'll talk about trainings that are essential for that kind of person to be an efficient player in hospitality industry. I would like you to talk about some of these training programs, some of the skills that are necessary for an investor or a player or a personnel in that sector to be able to thrive.
Okay, thank you. There are lots of training programs that are very important for any practitioner in the hospitality industry. And I must say, the whole of this start from perhaps taking up a diploma in hospitality management or probably having a degree in hospitality management. And more so to those who are actually dispensing this service, customer service skill, it's very much essential, and understanding how much it is to render quality customer service, to guests is a very important skill that should be given to any member of the hospitality establishment. Of course, hospitality can never be separated from service, and that's exactly what it is. In hospitality, we offer tangible and intangible products and products and services, and these are the things that we are looking at here. So by the intangibility, we are looking at the services that are offered to guests who visit our establishment, and the most important thing we are offering is experience. So for us to create that experience, for us to create that remarkable memory, we need quality customer service skill, and this is exactly the training that is required to be, imparted in every practitioner. And then going further to this is understanding how much it is to manage costs and revenue. Of course, we know it is difficult to manage a hospitality establishment in Nigeria based on a lot of factors, that is affecting, environmental factors that are affecting the business in our current day operations. So having very good cost management or revenue management skill would be a very much effective one to be able to manage and also dispense quality customer service.
Okay, apart from the customer service, what else provides quality experience for the customer? Let's say the staff are very courteous, they know well how to deliver the service, but what else adds up to that quality experience?
Just like I said, the experience can never be complete when the establishment itself lacks quality maintenance. Quality maintenance in terms of structure and proper renovation strategies. One of those things we lack here in this part of the world is renovation strategy. Most hotels feel that renovation is about repainting the building. It is beyond just repainting buildings. All right. So when you create those, of course, in hotels, we refer hotels to be home away from home, or either better home away from home. Of course, some of the people who visit facilities actually have even a very better structure at home. So when they visit a hotel facility, they should expect beyond what they have at home, including the service that are rendered by the staff. So having a very good maintenance strategy and renovation strategy will enhance quality experience, enhance quality, quality service, and as much as creating other experiences within the hotel is another way of creating good experience for guests who visit us and not just coming to lie on the bed or have experience to just have a shelter, but there should be activities around our facilities that can create better experiences for anyone who visits our hotels, hospitality outfits, and
I would like you to share your experience with us so that those who want to go into this business can have proper understanding and two sides understanding of this business. I would like you to share with your experience when it comes to how challenging it is to sustain quality service given the present economic reality, and then what an investor or a business owner needs to do around this time to ensure that you sustain quality service.
Okay, to be honest, it is not an easy task to manage a hotel outfit, or be it an establishment in the hospitality industry. You must be a very big risk taker when it comes to hospitality business. To be honest, here in Nigeria, it is difficult because we have a lot of environmental factors that are affecting the business big time. And that is, of course, the business must run on electricity 24/7, which is a very big challenge here in Nigeria. So for you to run a hospitality business, you must provide electricity for any guest to feel, comfortable. And this is done whether you have a single occupant or you have a full occupant. You must have to provide light 24/7, and you know what that means. And for you to be successful here means you have to have a very good and strong marketing strategy that will help you stay afloat in ensuring that your occupancy rate or occupancy is on the high continuously without reduction. So when you are out of that strategy of marketing, then you're definitely going to be at loss. That's the biggest challenge in the hotel industry. For you to achieve that standard, providing constant electricity, and then you are running on a very low occupancy rate, then you are definitely going to be out of business in a short while. But if you ensure you put a whole lot of strategy, I think that's one of the bigger problems that most hotel establishments or most hotel owners have. They invest a lot of money in infrastructure, but don't budget for marketing. They don't put a lot of budget for marketing, just like other bigger businesses or other sectors in the economy, just like you see other manufacturing companies like Coca-Cola and the rest of them. Every moment you see them advertising, every single moment you see them promoting their product. But in the hotel, you begin to see that a lot of people or even their marketers have to struggle to be able to reach out to their potential customers or guests, and that's a bigger challenge. So if you're an investor in the hotel industry and you want to move your business forward, we encourage you to improve on your marketing budget, and then that will bring about your continuous occupancy rate, and that's the only way to succeed. And then you begin to hear some persons looking at putting other strategies like maybe using a reduced system to impact on the cost reduction by providing maybe an alternative energy and all of that. That could be another way of reducing cost and then improving your revenue by bringing about alternative energy. And that's exactly what one can do to be able to stay afloat. But aside that, it's quite challenging.
Encompasses not just hotels, restaurant, bars, but also tourism services, which is where we started from. You talked about being able to organize tour travels for a lot of clients. What are some of the challenges in this kind of business?
Yeah, okay. So when it comes to tourism, it's what we sell basically is experience. And the only challenge there is, I must say, in the tourism business, the risk is not as much as it is in terms of that of hotel business. Now, this is because when it comes to tours, people are only getting ready to experience either other people's culture, or they're going for either visitations, or they're trying to, visit, to know exactly the way of life of other people. And in this regard, there's no so much risk associated to it, except when it comes to the travel or movement risk that every other person from any sector can experience. And that's where insurance and all of that comes in, before such kind of trip can be made. So when it comes to tourism on its own, for the business owner, there is no much risk except you being able to follow every legal practice to ensure that your business is guided, to ensure that the customer or the guest or the tourist understand exactly what he or she is embarking upon by signing relevant documents, and by making sure that whatever you're presenting to the tourist is very clear and stated properly in your tour brochure, and every activity that is included in such tour being presented to this tourist to ensure that he or she gives consent to whatever he or she is embarking on. For instance, if someone is going to do a hiking tour, let's say hiking is taken up on, of course, on mountains and the rest of that. But there is some of kind of this accidental risks that is involved in hiking and all of that. So you must spell it out, let a person understand and gives consent to this activity that he or she is embarking upon. Should in case there's any accident, there is a legal coverage for your business and all of that. And this is what is important. And these are the risks one can, look at when it comes to the tour. So when you're taking people to a destination, there should be a proper understanding between both parties to ensure that he or she understands what he or she is embarking upon. And that's a better way to manage the business, to ensure that every risk is being taken care of.
All right, for an investor who is thinking of, how to or where to invest, when it comes to hospitality and tourism in Nigeria, I would like you to talk to us. What should be of interest to the investor, the market trends, the niche or the sector you think this person should invest in order to get maximum gains from investment?
All right. Thank you for that question. I must say, the most important thing aside having passion, all right, for anything is making revenue and making sure you have return on your investment. And for me, I would advise whoever wants to go into the business of hospitality or tourism, there are a lot of opportunities in them. So whether you're into hospitality or you're going into tourism specifically, of course, you definitely will make your return on investment. The whole of this only boils down to um, what exactly your business plan is thoroughly on, and what exactly are you looking at achieving. So if you're looking at tourism, of course, you can make a lot of money when you have a very good branding. Of course, bringing people for either from let's say diaspora, you have some leakage with international community, and you could bring people to come and see what's happening in Nigeria in terms of culture. You're going to be making a lot of a lot of money from such kind of business. Let's say we're having Calabar Carnival coming up very soon, and a lot of people are going to be participating or intending to participate from the international community, and you have a linkage to let people see what exactly happening in terms of Calabar Festival or Shobo Festival. A lot of things, cultural assets we have that people want to experience, and you can be able to package people to come see some of these experiences. That's a whole lot of money. And for me, I think tourism is one way you can make your money silently without having a lot of risk involved in it. But when I say a lot of risk, I mean it's a service that, of course, all you need to do is to pay out suppliers, and then the rest of the money it's going straight to your company. And that to me, I think it's a little bit easier. And then going to hospitality, of course, it's a whole lot of money if you have a very good positioning. If your hotel is positioned in a very very good location, and you are able to see that there's an attraction within that location that can bring about people visiting and having to lodge in your hotel, it also brings a lot of money, whether in the restaurant, casinos, or the rest. It's a whole lot of there's a lot of money in the hotel and tourism industry.
Let's come to the workforce now. So, in the hospitality sector, what kinds of skills or expertise are in high demand to enable the organization or the establishment provide great experience to consumers or to customers?
Okay, I must tell you that just like a lot of things are changing in the whole of the world globally, uh, the same thing is happening in the hospitality and tourism space. So individuals who are always putting themselves, in that state of learning new things and becoming more technological savvy, always on high demand. And of course, if you are a very good marketer, definitely no company jokes with a marketer. Here, we're talking about hospitality marketing, and you have very good influence to always bring about, guests to any hotel. Of course, no owner is going to joke with you. Of course, they could invest a lot of money on you in as much as you're bringing return on their investment. So, being a good hospitality marketer goes a long way. I'm not talking about marketing by walking on the road and all of that. I'm talking about being technologically aware, and then you could use big data and the rest of that to bring about results in the hospitality business. Of course, you're definitely going to be a very big fish in the industry in the hands of the owners or the investors. So building such kind of skill, building that you know hospitality skill is a very good one. And another one is hospitality accounting. Hospitality accounting, most people don't understand that hospitality on its own has a special area in terms of accounting. So when we were in school back then, we did, accounting, hospitality accounting, cost and cost management, and the rest of that. So you begin to see people who studied accounting specifically, looking at coming into the hotel industry. You're definitely going to be totally confused from the beginning, except you're put through, because at that stage, you're not calculating just assets and liability just like that. You're going into understanding inventory and the rest of that. So it goes in detailing. It goes more detailing than what you do outside the hospitality industry. So anyone who understands hospitality accounting and can be able to manage costs for an owner is going to be someone that is going to be valued, in the sector, because of course the whole of the thing boils down in managing costs and increasing revenue. So if you can be able to create value within these areas of bringing results, definitely you're going to be valued. So if you're going into hospitality as a general manager or whatever it is, and then you have these relevant skills, no one is going to joke with it. That's exactly what it is. The same thing applicable in the travel and tourism industry. So once you can be able to, influence, market and sell tour packages and all of that, no one is definitely going to joke with it. So these are important skills that are needed. These are important areas that are needed by this industry. So if one can be able to build a profile within it, definitely you're 100% going to be valued to you lead whatever organization is.
Flux of quacks, which is also not peculiar to hospitality, just like every other industry. You have quacks, people who are not trained, but because they have access or they have money, they tend to claim to be a player in that sector. How's been of challenge to people who are trained in this sector, and then how easy it is to have access to quality training, because you discover most of the practitioners, they get their training from informal sector, perhaps learning from one person or the other. You talk about acquiring diploma degree. Is that the basic for international standard?
Okay, thank you so much. I think this is a valid point. A lot of quacks out there, a lot of people who basically do not understand what should be the standard for the hospitality business. Of course, like you said, they have a lot of money and then they went into the business. And of course, sometimes they could even consult experts in this industry. But at the end of the day, they become the same persons making the whole of the decision. All right. So we have a lot of owners, even when you tell them this is exactly what you should do in order to, achieve a quality standard, they tell you no way. Of course, the money is coming from them, so you have nothing else to say but to play their tune. So at the end of the day, you begin to see the business going down just as a result of very poor quality service being rendered, as a result of some of the leakages that has been, incurred as a result of bad decisions and all of that. So that's a very big gap we have here in the hospitality business. There are a lot of people who want to go into the business but do not understand the basics. So there are a lot of institutions that are also offering, these trainings and all of that to ensure that people have what it is to run their businesses effectively. And in Nigeria, we have NIHATO, right? NIHATO is, Nigeria National Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, and they are basically into the training. They have the legislative right or legislative power to certify organizations, certify individuals who are practicing in the industry, just beyond you having your degrees, your certification, your schools, and all of that. So it is also good to go to some of these certifying institutions and have, some of these, trainings that will enhance you, that will help you become much better in your service delivery. And for owners as well, it is important for them to as well undergo some of this training in order to know what is the standard. And to say, some hotels, of course, have ISO certification, and you and I know that ISO does not limit its coverage to just other industry. It also comes to hospitality as well. So ISO is the international standard organization, so they can as well assess the quality of service that is being rendered within each business. So for any business that is looking at going international, going global, and having a global practice, you must have ISO certification. And for you to have this, you must meet some certain criteria when it comes to health and safety, when it comes to star ratings, when it comes to quality service, and all of these are things that ISO would have to investigate to see how much you've been able to do this. And if you have not been able to make to that level, they will demand you to get to that level before you can be certified. So if we go by having ISO and SON, being able to monitor what is being delivered here in the country, I think we may have some time to get there. Of course, ISO will always come from time to time to audit the organization to know if they are actually practicing what has been stated for them on their SOPs and all of that. That is the way to go. And by so doing, the quality will continue that way. The certification will be demanded from time to time in order to continue in such kind of standard of business offering. So that's basically one way out of the whole of this.
Let's look at customer expectation. There are gradings of hotels. You have the 3-star, you have the 5-star hotel. What makes the difference? What should a customer expect? What kinds of service should a customer expect to get from a 3-star hotel and a 5-star hotel?
Okay. We basically sometimes see some of these in the little events that we attend, right? So you can't expect to have the same service when you buy a regular ticket and when you buy a very important person ticket, just like a VIP ticket or VVIP ticket. So usually it's not the same package. So when you go to a 3-star hotel, sometimes it depends on the criteria that is the particular part of the world has actually decided to use as the standard for their rating. Okay, so let's say a 5-star hotel in Nigeria may even be a 3-star hotel in Dubai. So it all depends on what the individual economy have decided to be their criteria, and those are some of the things. So when it comes to these differences, when you have a 3-star rating, you could have maybe the facilities are not so much, in that environment. Like it's not enormous. You don't have lots of facilities, so you may not be expecting so much. Maybe having a pool, maybe having a gym, having a huge number of rooms available, for you. So some of these are a limitation at the 3-star hotel. But when you're looking at the 5-star hotel, you're seeing some sort of luxury. You're seeing some of, a high number of room ranging from 500 and above and the rest of that. And of course, these are some of the things that are being, or maybe from 100 and above kind of rooms. And then you begin to look at that as a 5-star hotel.
Okay. All right, we need to take a breather now, Chimeze. When we return, our conversation with you will continue. So we'll dwell more on the impact of technology, and that will be after this short break. Stay with us.
Thank you.
wise men. Iconic sculptures and statues adorn major metropolitan cities of the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, the statue of three men designed to depict the state's cultural heritage and to usher in visitors and tourists into the ever-accommodating center of excellence is no doubt an astounding work of art. Originally built under the administration of Colonel Raji Rasaki, designed by Bodun Shodende in 1991 and standing over 12 feet high, referred to as Agba Meta or Aro Meta, the three sculptured chiefs were placed along the Lagos-Ibadan toll gate to welcome people coming into Lagos State. The statue called the Three Wise Men by many has become a major signature for the state. Three white-capped chiefs clad in white wrappers knotted across their shoulders and with clenched right fists are shown in the artwork. The images fascinate and create impressions in the minds of visitors coming into the state, captivating the attention of visitors who look with keen interest, pondering on the messages which the posture of the engraved images signifies. The Three Wise Men has been relocated thrice from its original position at Ojodu Berger end of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to Magodo area before its final relocation to its present site at Olowo Drive. The sculpture has suffered severe damages over the years and renovated. Bodun Shodende, through this sculpture, depicted the highest honor that can be afforded to anyone in the Eko greeting tradition. The Three Wise Men, Arometa, Suk Enlightenment.
How can indigenous languages be promoted in a country like this?
Statistics show that less than 10% of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, has have access to health insurance. You imagine if our population is about 200 million and
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, if you are just joining us, you have no cause to worry because our guest is still here and we've been looking at tourism and hospitality in Nigeria. Now we want to take a shift to what we should talk about when it comes to infrastructure and accessibility. And we still have Chimeze here with us as our special guest today. Chimeze, glad to know you are still there with us on the Early Exchange.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, I would like you to address the challenges that has to do with the issue of infrastructure and the impact of that on tourism and hospitality sector in Nigeria.
Okay, if you can hear me so well, I must tell you the tourism and hospitality industry can never do without infrastructure. And of course, there's what we call the 6 A's of tourism. When it comes to the 6 A's of tourism, one of the most important things there is accessibility. Okay, so when it comes to accessibility, it is very key and germane when it comes to hospitality or tourism. So for people to get access to your facility, there has to be good roads, all right, good road network. And accessibility doesn't actually end at good road network. It also goes across by having safety, all right, safety as part of it. So if people cannot actually come to your facility because there are impending dangers, or let's talk about what we have in our current Nigerian, modern day Nigeria, where you have insecurity everywhere and people are afraid of traveling either by road and all of that. There are some experiences you want to have that basically flying on air is not even the best way of experiencing such kind of facility. So you just needed to go by road to be able to have a very good experience of the destination. So, but sometimes when you look at the safety aspect of it, some people will have to fly. And sometimes they may not even actually tend to travel at all just because they're looking at insecurity. Of course, we're not going to say this is just Nigerian issue. Of course, there's insecurity everywhere. but the only thing we're looking at is just being able to manage these things. So in Nigeria, we are basically seeing these things happen. Of course, it's the same thing. It happens everywhere in every economy. There are insecurity, but it's being able to put on measures that can actually curtail these things. That's exactly what we're looking at in the industry. So the government can be able to provide, very good infrastructure, very good accessibility, privileges for the investors in this sector, then it becomes a very good business. All right. So, and looking at infrastructure, even the investors themselves, being able to bring about very good facility that will bring, that will look to be like an attraction to anyone who is visiting. Of course, in the tourism business or tourism psychology, there's what we call the push and pull factors. So people must have the pull and push factors to visit a certain destination or a certain attraction. So we must create infrastructures, or we must create facilities to have such kind of ideology around it. And that's the only way people can actually feel good visiting and patronizing the tourism and hospitality business. So that's basically what we have to say in terms of that.
With these challenges, how does technology come in to help? We understand that there is virtual reality now, and also augmented reality, and some of them are being used to provide tour experiences for people. So how does it help? You'd like to take some clients to, but because of poor infrastructure or security issues, having access to those places, you can't take them there. Is there a way technology bridges the gap or comes in to help?
I think I must thank you for that question, but the only thing is this: tourism basically should not be a technology thing, but of course, the world is advancing, so you can never leave technology out of it. And there are a lot of experiences that as well can be gotten via technology, but not in all totality. There are some experiences that necessarily you don't need to get such kind of experience via technology. One could create some touristic experiences via, gaming, like people playing game. Such kind of activity is a touristic experience, right? Gaming is technological, all right? It's part of tourism, it's an experience. So, but then when it comes to visiting a cultural destination, visiting a local environment or community, to have a hands-on experience on their cultural assets, on their cultural heritage and the rest of that. This is not something one could experience in full via technology. Of course, this can never be encouraged within technological visit. So I must tell you, technology is impacting in a way in tourism, but is not in all totality, I must tell you. And that is where you see even WTO, that is United Nations World Tourism Organization, is encouraging via SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, to encourage sustainability of some local community participation in tourism and the rest of that. So this participation cannot be gotten just via technology. Of course, technology can create, the platform to bring you the push and pull factor that I talked about in the other segment, to let you see reasons to visit these places by showcasing these things via technology. But getting to experiences in totality, you must have to visit these places. So technology is doing a lot of great work, but it can never take tourism out, tourism experiences. It can never take that physical experience, that touch out completely. That's one thing about that. So creating technological platforms to enable easy access and the rest of that could be another area that technology can help to ensure that people go to this destination safely. That's another technological investment that can be made to enhance tourism. But to do it in such a way to distance people from moving, then it's definitely destroying what we call tourism. Because when it comes to tourism, people have to move from one place to the other. So within a particular period of time. So when people are not moving, then you don't see tourism in it. So if you're sitting in your house and you're just looking at me performing in your screen on your screen, and then you are not even having a direct touch, direct experience of what I'm doing, there is no tourism there. There's no tourism there. What we are having is just an imaginative travel, and that's in the mind, and that's really not what we are preaching when it comes to tourism.
All right. What are some of the basic amenities you would like the government to work on, or some infrastructural initiatives you think the government can embark on to boost, the business interest of hospitality and tourism in Nigeria?
Okay, I must say that the government right now, when it comes to tourism, has started well. And to start well here is creating a separate ministry. We currently have a separate tourism ministry. And if that ministry is supported effectively, it means they should be able to have a lot of goals and focus, all right, to achieve a better tourism or touristic happening in our country, Nigeria. So to get that done is by encouraging relevant infrastructures that will enhance that. That is creating very good network, like I earlier said, and of course, leading to some of these destinations and providing security, providing actual security. We're not talking about what is happening currently, providing very good security where the citizens can actually trust that, yes, these people are here to protect us, not to brutalize us. So if we can get that assurance, that tourism can actually be enabled, and then creating a very good business environment. Business cannot flourish, or no one will want to invest into a business that at the end of the day, you're going to, the whole of the money you're making is going into taxation alone. In the business of hospitality, there are a lot of different taxes that are paid just beyond your normal income tax. There are other lot of different bills that are paid by the business, and in such a way is not helping the business. So there should be there should be good policies that will enable the business of hospitality and tourism to flourish. And I think government should be able to make very good decision in enhancing very good policies that will enable businesses and investors in this regard. And by so doing, you have a lot of people coming into the industry to invest, to create these infrastructures. There are a lot of private owners who have a lot of money to invest, but because the government is not supporting the industry or creating very good business environment for them, some of them get discouraged. So if the government can create a very perfect business environment, that will encourage the business of hospitality and tourism in Nigeria. And I think with the new entrant ministry, I think there should be a push in partnership with the private sector that will be headed by FTAN, that's Federation of Tourism Associations of Nigeria. So that will be able to do a whole lot of things. And then working with other relevant associations that knows a lot about professionalism, like Hartman, Hospitality and Tourism Management Association of Nigeria, which I'm also a member. I'm a professional member of Hartman. So that could also enable businesses flourish, and then the customer experience we are also pushing as well get directly to what we are looking.
Let's pick it up from where you dropped off. Customer offerings. Are there initiatives to cater to a certain category of customers? This category I'm talking about, physically challenged persons. Are there offerings in tourism sector that targeted at them, providing tourism experience for them?
Okay, when it comes to the disabled, of course, if we're looking at, let's say, from the aviation sector, because if you fly in an airline, you discover that before you get to make a request for a seat and all of that, your agent must require to know exactly who is boarding the plane, and of course, a special request will be made to the airline to provide facilities that will enable the disabled, or if it's a child, facilities that will also enable comfortability, when it comes to hospitable attending to such kind of individual. So, of course, in the tourism business, most standard businesses have, have provision for the disabled who are patronizing their businesses, of course. But a lot of people do not see that as important. But I think it's another area that investors and those practitioners in the tourism industry have to begin to think about, to ensure that everyone is being carried along, and all inclusive, packages and all of that that could enable everyone, despite where you are, your personality or whatever, to participate and have experience within the tourism industry. That's all we have to say for now, but I think most organizations are also considering material.
Actually, while you were talking, you made reference to them as disabled, but you understand that globally it is recognized that there is ability in disability, and so they're often referred to as physically challenged and not disabled, right?
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mike gets the message. So thank you very much for shedding light on that, because I know that they too want that experience, places some have read about, maybe seen in books, in the schools, in movies. They too want to get to those places and have that kind of experience. All right, Femi.
All right, Chimeze, let's look at this infrastructural deficit or lack of maintenance when it comes to government-owned, tourist centers. You have monuments, you have, Nigeria is blessed with all these, especially the ones that are owned by the government. You have Ikogo, Siwam Spring, you have the game reserves and all that. Let's talk about the infrastructural deficit when it comes to managing, the quality of this part. What's your reaction to this, and what should be done to ensure that maximum profit and the maintenance are properly done to some of these monuments?
Okay, I wouldn't say I'm here to market Ikogosi, but I must tell you that Ikogosi of before has been improved a little bit. I think they have the new destination managers that are taking care of these destinations. And so I think that area is being handled, but I feel a lot has to be done. So this still boils down to investors and the government. So if proper infrastructure or proper, support are being provided, I believe these businesses will definitely flourish. I actually going to make reference to Lekki Conservation Center. Um, I visited this center for some time ago, right? And then visiting recently, I discovered a lot of things has changed, and I must encourage the work they are doing. Of course, they go on to always maintain this facility because it has a lot to do with, risk. Of course, climbing the longest canopy walk can be so risky, but to see that they maintain it continuously and creating a lot of attraction within that destination, it's an encouraging thing, for those kind of tourism or touristic experience. So I feel getting to have infrastructures put in place at destinations is something that is possible, but then the business must have a very good stage to play out what they know how to play out, and that's by government creating an enabling environment. The whole of these things boil down to an enabling environment and having good and experienced destination managers. Of course, those who are trained and have the quality training that can actually know what the standards are. And with that, we can actually have the results we're looking for. That's basically what we have to encourage in the country. Quality training and ability to execute what we know. That's exactly what should be put in place.
What would maintaining historic monuments and tall sites entail? Because sometimes it seems like in trying to improve the place or maintain it, it has changed from its original state. So what would it entail to ensure that while you're maintaining, you do not alter the originality of the place or of the sites?
Okay, that's a very valid question. But to this effect, in most cases, that's why you see I mentioned about UNWTO promoting sustainability and the rest of all of that. So to be able to sustain a historical site, of course, you're not going to make so. Of course, the more years are passing by, a lot of things are actually deteriorating and all of that. So to be able to ensure that these things pass the same story the way they are, is to ensure that they are properly secured and ensure there is no impeding danger that can actually have so much effect to some of these things that cannot be repeated as man-made but natural. So it's to ensure that these historical sites are well protected, preserved, and ensure there is no impending danger that can destroy them from their originality. So some of this is having to understand or have a sustainable plan that can actually protect some or preserve these sites, of course. So if they are being put in place and implemented, then it can actually be secured. Then when it comes to maintaining them, it's really not on the monument itself, but the environment itself. Trying to ensure that some of these things that has to do with bringing more attractions or making sure that people don't just come to such kind of historical site and then just see the monument and that's all, but bringing about activities around it that can make people have, experiences beyond just what the site is offering. That's exactly what we're talking about in terms of bringing about, maintenance and all that. But creating or impacting on the originality of a historical monument, I must say it's not the ideal. But of course, protecting and preserving them is what sustainability is all about.
Now let's look at the plight of business owners like you, who as a result of infrastructural deficit will have to make provisions for themselves, like constructing roads, providing their own electricity in order to stay in business. How is this impacting on the cost of doing business in Nigeria? Share your experience with us.
Okay, like I said, it's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge. I personally have managed a lot of hotels. I've managed hotels, and I must tell you, it is not an easy thing to keep, investing on diesel and all of that, and then a lot of times you begin to see the government still coming to give you a whole large amount of bill from electricity when you're not even seeing the light to even start with. So it's really not encouraging businesses. It's not really encouraging businesses, I must say. And it's something that the government have to do something about it. A lot of people run out of business as a result of high costs. A lot of businesses run uh, you know, into debt just because they cannot be able to cope with cost of operations and the rest of that. And that is why I said for any business to have such kind of stability, it must have to do well to improve on marketing. And of course, marketing is also, you have to invest in it, it's money. So the government really needs to bring about a lot of grants that can support businesses. So for business owners, it is not easy. It is not easy to, trying to put up all of these costs together and trying to still bring about standard or quality standard. So if there is a lot of help from the government in terms of balancing the needful, the government bringing about the ones they can bring, then owners can focus on delivering quality. Owners can focus on delivering quality service and all of that. But here in Nigeria, it's a different ballgame. You just have to do everything yourself. You just have to provide water. You have to provide electricity yourself. You have to, provide the customer service again and all of that. So it becomes so challenging. It becomes so worrisome to business owners and investors, even when it comes to, employees. At the end of the day, employees as well suffer as a result of this, because owners, after spending and making a lot of expenses, it becomes terrible to even pay salaries. So you begin to see some hospitality workers telling you that they've worked for like a month and they don't get their money as of when due. It's because the owners are struggling. All right, they're struggling to even get to pay out debts, and they're not even meeting their turnover point and all of that, break-even point and all of that. So you see that it's a lot of challenge. And if the government can enable this, help the owners in this area, then the business can flourish better. It can become an attractive place to be. Of course, hospitality business is very interesting. Tourism business is very interesting. But then to make it more interesting is to have an enabling environment. And that's exactly what we are all preaching. And we hope that the new government can help us in any way it can.
As someone who has managed lots of hotels, so let me ask you, when you go to some hotels, particularly the five-star hotels, culinary experience is one thing that customers are hoping to get from such places. You find lots of foreign chefs. So is it about the quality of service, or it has to do with reputation?
Okay, yeah, you cannot live out reputation as well as quality of service. Of course, like I said before, some of these hotels you see as or referred to as five stars in Nigeria, they are mostly chain or franchised hotel brands. And of course, they have a reputation internationally, and they must have to protect it. And if you're franchised, it means you have to the delivery has to be at the same as it is over there. So they're giving you their license to operate as they are the ones. So if you're operating, you must deliver based on their reputation, right? So by the reputation, it is key and germane to the licensee. So basically, you have to deliver the quality service based on that. So if you're not meeting up with that target, the license will be taken away from you. So it's about reputation as well. Then having to have quality delivery is also important. So of course, like you mentioned, the cuisines are important. It has to be detailed. The health, hygiene, the healthiness of whatever that is being presented, the cleanliness and all of that must be as same as it is globally wherever those brands exist. That's exactly what it is. So both reputation and quality of service go together when it comes to some of these brands.
Hi, Chimeze Mike, we need to let you go now. Thank you so much for spending time with us, for sharing your brilliant thoughts on the issue of hospitality and tourism in Nigeria. We really appreciate you for spending your time with us on Early Exchange.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I do appreciate it.
All right, it's time for another break now. When we return, we'll dovetail into another part of the discussion talking about hospitality and tourism in Nigeria. All you just have to do is to stay with us on Early Exchange.
Tourism in Nigeria is characterized by its diverse range of attractions, including natural wonders like national parks, waterfalls, and savanna zones, as well as rich cultural experiences such as festivals, art, and historical heritage. According to research, tourists spent $2.6 billion in Nigeria in 2015. This dropped to $1.5 billion in 2017, probably due to the rise in insecurity. The country's diverse ecosystems makes it a promising and highly attractive tourism destination with a growing recognition of the significance of biodiversity in driving tourism. Over an extended period, the Nigerian government has strategically harnessed the potential of the hospitality and tourism sector, capitalizing on the country's distinct advantages, Nigeria's prominent status as the giant of Africa and its historical legacy as the home of illustrious pre-colonial kingdoms and tribes like the Benin Kingdom and Edo tribe have bettered remarkable artifacts and rich cultural legacies. Nigeria's tourism sector faces challenges, historically focusing on business travel and lacking comprehensive national tourism initiatives. The nation's tourism and hospitality industry is emerging, offering economic growth, job creation, and celebrations of Nigerians' unique identity. Upgrading infrastructure and innovative marketing are enhancing accessibility, showcasing the country's attractions to the world. Despite challenges, a commitment to qualified service, transparent regulations, and collaboration with government and international partners paves the way to elevate Nigeria's hospitality sector to global standards. The vision is to ensure every visitor experiences the warmth, diversity, and richness of this remarkable nation. Grace Komalafe, Soup News.
How can indigenous languages be promoted in a country like this?
Statistics show that less than 10% of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, has have access to health insurance. You imagine if our population is about 200 million. And,
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Good to know you're still with us on Early Exchange, and we're talking about the hospitality and tourism industry in Nigeria. Let's look now at marketing and promotion, because how would you know there's a new hotel in town, for instance? How would you know the kind of services they offer for you to make the decision to try it out? There's a smaller things we'll be talking about. We'll be joined shortly by Akpa Joy Oguna, who is founder Joyona Travels and Tours Limited. But before we bring her in, Femi, what are your expectations when you get to a hotel, for instance? What are the things that have formed expectations in your mind, and so you're hoping to see? If you don't get to see them, it impacts on your rating, how you rate that particular hotel.
You know, for anybody who uses a hotel, the first thing that comes to mind is you want to have that friendly environment. You know, there's this word they say, home away from home. So when I get there, I want to have the experience of being in a place like home. And so for me, it's very critical. It starts from, you know, from the front desk officer, you know, the kind of attitude, the kind of reception that I'm being given. You get to some hotels, the front desk officer will act as if you are not there or you are not being expected. Where you get to other hotels, they will treat you like kings, they will treat you like queens, as if, you know, they are where you're coming. And it starts from there, which is why the issue of training and quality service is very critical. So for me, my observation starts from there, whether it's 5-star or 7 or whatever your level is. What's more important is the friendliness of the environment, the ambience. When I get there, I want to feel I'm home, even though I'm not at home, but I want to have that experience. And that's why they coined that word. Hotel business should give you that home away from home. So when you get there, from the menu, from the reception, you're being given the attitude, you know, the ambience, the environment, the lighting, everything should give you that, yes, you have that confidence that you are not far from home, even though in reality you are not at home.
So I asked that because I also wanted to know how you sort out a particular hotel to patronize. So it means that with this kind of expectation, that informs what you ask. Are you telling someone, oh, I need a hotel that offers this, that offers that, or you go on the internet to search for hotels where you can see or feel you'll be giving such kinds of treatments.
That's it.
All right, let's ask a player in the industry about these questions and how they make it known to people that, yes, you can get home away from home when you come to a certain hotel or when you want to embark on a tour. They're able to communicate to you effectively the kind of experience that matches your expectations or even surpasses it. Hello, Akpa Joy. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. All right, talking about marketing and promotion in tourism and hospitality industry in Nigeria. For tour, you could see signage that tells you, oh, this office or this establishment deals with packaging of tours. But for hospitality, maybe hotels, sometimes there is no signage, but you just know that they receive customers. So how do the customers get to know of their existence? Basically, I'm asking, how is marketing done, marketing of hospitality done? Marketing done. Marketing done.
Hi, good morning. Joy Akpa from Joyona Travels and Tours, based in Abuja, Nigeria. So, going to your question, can you hear me?
I can hear you, of course.
Hello. Hello. By marketing in various ways. Social media is one of our tools promoting our services here in Nigeria. And nationwide, we know that social media has taken over the trend of marketing, especially in the hospitality industry. A lot of people want to see, aside to promoting on a flyer, talking to them one-on-one, they want to actually see visually where you're taking them to. So by way of creating videos, content that will promote destinations of these places you're trying to sell out, a way of us marketing. Aside marketing via social media, we have the one-on-one marketing which we do. We have the friends and family marketing which we do. We have referrals. If you've been in the industry for some time, you understand that referrals is one key component that keeps you active and going forward. Because a lot of people would refer you when they have enjoyed your services, and they'll have every reason to come back to you. In that sense, they can refer you to people and your client base tend to increase. Another way we tend to do our marketing is in the government. Publicity, they do, collaborating with National Travel Agency, GEX in Nigeria, NANTA. We also have NCAA, the regulatory body in Nigeria that promotes travel agencies. And FAN do a little by way of promotion of new airlines, new regulations, and all of that. I think I've been able to give you a good understanding of promotion in the hospitality industry.
The proper strategy, marketing strategy, a business owner should put in place to ensure that they remain competitive in business. You are in an industry which is highly competitive, and you have people contending for profitability and contending for space and visibility as well. Talk to us the kind of marketing strategy a business owner needs to put in place to get promotion and visibility.
Can you please come again? I didn't quite hear the earlier statement.
It's a competitive market, so I'm saying, what are the kind of marketing strategies business owner need to put in place in order to gain visibility and promotion?
Okay. Business strategies we put in the hospitality industry to gain publicity. That
Talking about visibility now, for people to patronize your business, they must know that business exists. So what kind of strategy are you going to deploy for that business to get visibility and being patronized? Here.
in order for us to get visibility and to be patronized, first of all, your brand has to be visible by the populace. How? Social media. You must create content that would explain to the public what you do, the kind of services you render. Your strategies could be when Mr. A is selling 50 naira and you're giving at 45, just to get the attention of your desired population. Why I said your desired population, in this industry, we all run different packages and different activities. The same product I will be selling for 1 million naira, some other agency will be selling it for 2 million naira. Depends on the value you're bringing to the table. Some persons handle luxury, some persons handle just premium. So it depends also on your clientele that will help you to publicize. But basically, we publicize our services by way of social media, like I earlier said, publicize by way of TV, radio jingles, WhatsApp promotions, creating groups of persons that have used our services in the past keeping them abreast with the new offers we have and the new packages that are selling. Like this period is meant to be a peak period in the travel industry because a lot of people travel with their families for holidays. And so at this period, aside the social media, one-on-one marketing is also done. One-on-one marketing by way of forwarding the contents, the packages we have to clients in order to keep them informed. We also have newsletters, promote our services via newsletters. We have newsletters on the daily, like last week, on the 19th precisely, Uganda Airline came into Nigeria. So we keep our customers informed with what is happening in the aviation industry. That's another way of us promoting our services. Keep them informed, okay, there's an easier way to travel to your destination. Like before now, there's always a stopover traveling to Uganda using Ethiopia Airline, using Rwanda Airline. But now from Lagos, you can travel directly. We inform them. For instance, the airline came up, since they are new, they came up with incentives like, okay, for every traveler, you have 3 pieces, which is an added advantage to anyone traveling on an international, more especially on the return, because you like to buy things and in that way you wouldn't have to pay for extra luggage. So these are some of the ways we promote travels in Nigeria. Then the hospitality industry also, for foreigners that come into Nigeria, we try to sell Nigeria as a destination to them. Try to put out content that encourages people when they come into Nigeria for them to know, okay, there are beautiful sites you can see, places you can visit, and enjoy your stay while here in Nigeria. That's basically how we promote our services here in Nigeria, or in the hospitality industry rather.
Okay. Tourism sector and those specifically in the hospitality sector, I mean hotels, restaurants and bars, is there some form of partnership in promotion of your businesses so that there's referral from one to the other?
So is there some form of?
Those who are into tourism and those who are in hospitality, so there's referral of clients, referral of businesses from one to the other. In strategy.
Yes, there is different agencies handle different calls. There are agencies that their call is just to issue tickets, both domestic and international. There are agencies that they just do international, they don't do domestic. There are agencies that what they handle is miles. There are agencies that what they handle is tour packages. What they do is to just take people out of Nigeria, bonding, team bonding, and all of that. It depends on your call. So if I have a friend in the industry, or I have a colleague rather, and I handle tour packages, I do both domestic and international, I do hotel, and you only handle visa and insurance, and you have these passengers that you have processed their visas, and you would like someone else in the industry to handle the ticketing aspect, the hotel. Yes, we refer each other. We refer each other. We work together.
Okay, let's look at some in the course of marketing and doing promotion, some of the problems, the likely challenges you face in the course of doing these duties because of the peculiarity of this environment. Some of the clients I would like you to share your experience with us when it comes to some of the problems or the constraints when it comes to marketing and promotion.
Some of our constraints when it comes to marketing and promotion is basically price. Price, sometimes you can have a product going for 500,000, but in the recent time, we've had a lot of challenges dealing with dollars. Because you can, if you have a hotel that is giving you so much discount over there, most of our services are paid in dollars, and then you have promoted here in Nigeria, and you have clients that are willing to buy that particular service, and all of a sudden you are not able to deliver at that rate. These are some of the challenges we face right now in the industry, and that has reduced drastically our sales.
For a new entrant into an industry like this, what are some of the key things that the new entrant should do to be able to gain recognition and play, to be able to compete with those who are already in the industry?
To be able to compete with those already in the industry, then you should look out for the things that are not visible and tackle them. Me mentioning one or two is like giving out my own selling points, which I wouldn't like to do. if this is a one-on-one conversation, I could, yeah, but here, I'm not sure I would like to do that because that's my own selling strategy. I think if you're going into an industry like this, you would have to look out for the loopholes that a lot of people ignore. In that medium, you'll be able to attract the attention of your desired clientele.
Let me find out from you if you've done a project whereby you've given it all the necessary strategies when it comes to marketing and promotion and you're not getting the right result. In that instance, what do you do? I would like you to educate a business owner who might encounter that kind of experience because businesses are in phases. So how do you handle that kind of phase where you do all you can do when it comes to marketing, but you're not getting maximum profit? For a business owner, how can they manage that kind of development and that phase when it comes to marketing?
As a business owner, it won't always be rosy, but I think consistency is the key. The more consistent you are, the more visibility you will get, the more trust you earn from those that patronize you. And most of the time, you may not start, it may not be rosy for you when you start, you may not earn profits in the beginning. But the more consistent you are in that particular field, a lot of eyes are watching, you may not know. The more you put out the things you do, the more people patronize you and you put it out, a lot of people will gain confidence in you. And over time, that confidence is what will turn into income, I believe. Because I experienced that and it worked for me. So I think that's one way to enhance your profits. You may not earn as you start, but consistency will enable you earn in the long run.
Okay, you talked about some marketing strategies. I want to ask how effective are they? For instance, reviews. When you go to the site or the pages of some businesses who are into hospitality or providing tour services, you find reviews. But there's one thing that people are beginning to say or beginning to look at when it comes to reviews. Like sometimes it doesn't seem genuine, and sometimes people don't go by reviews. So how effective are reviews and even pricing? There's this a thing about pricing. It is assumed sometimes that when a thing is expensive, then it is of high quality. So how does that impact the marketing strategy? Sometimes you also talked about fixing the price that may be a bit lower than your competitor. But how effective are these strategies?
That's I mentioned earlier, it depends on your clientele. If you have the average masses to be your clients, and you go and put up a package of 100 million, and you expect them to come over to patronize you, you know that wouldn't work out for you. It depends on who your clients are. And in this part of the world, we often believe that when things are very expensive, then they are of high value. But I don't think that's always the case. I think it's in the travel industry, it's the experience you get that is the most important. The trip is not enjoyed until you have gone and you are returning back home and the memory lingers with you over time. That's when you can successfully say you enjoyed a trip. There are some trips you go on that's just on an average, and it's just the hotel that is nice. But there are some trips that are exceptional, from the airport pick up and drop off to the hotel, to the food, to the reception, to the tours, how the tour operators attend to you, seamless from start to finish. I think that's what's termed a very good tour. And again, when you talk about luxury or economy in this aspect, there are different packages that will term that. You cannot offer an economy trip in terms of luxury. Even after the client has gone and returned, it will be a bad review for you. And you also mentioned reviews, how reviews. What do I think about reviews? Reviews, it depends on your social media pages. There are pages that when you look at the reviews, you know that these are genuine reviews from clients that have experienced that have experienced one or two services from this company, and their reviews, you know, they were just imputed. So most of the time, the way we get our reviews and understand them to be authentic, our reviews we get on Instagram. When you make posts and people comment, you know, these are genuine reviews, these are genuine comments. Hardly will you get a comment from a particular hotel on Instagram and you go to that hotel and lodge that you won't enjoy, or from the reviews you actually know if these people are what they put out to you. And if they are not, you will also discover that from the reviews you see online, from their social media handle, most especially Instagram.
Break now. When we return, we'll continue our conversation with Joy. We'll be looking at travels and tours. Just stay with us. All right. We'll now. All right. Okay.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade, and later under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, Souk Enlightenment.
How can indigenous languages be promoted in a country like this?
Statistics show that less than 10% of Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, has have access to health insurance. You imagine if our population is about 200 million and
This is Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
All right, glad to know you are still there with us as always. It's Early Exchange, and our focus has been tourism and hospitality in Nigeria. And we've been speaking with Joy Akpa, who has been talking about, marketing and promotion. This time around, we want to look at travel and tours in Nigeria. And Joy is still here with us. Joy, glad to know you're still there with us on Early Exchange. Travels and tours in Nigeria. As an expert in that area, take us through, what it takes to have travels and tours, and then some of the opportunities that are out there when it comes to travel and tour business in Nigeria.
Thank you once again. When it comes to travel and tours business in Nigeria, it's a lot from regulatory bodies. You have to be in affiliation with so many of them. One of them is NCAA. Another, for you to be recognized, for you to be seen, you need to have, for you to do business in.
All right, we seem to have lost connection with Joy. Okay, she was trying to talk about what it takes to engage in travels and tour business, because Nigerians will love to travel. In fact, there's a projection. I saw statistics about the amount of money generated from traveling and tours in 2019. That was about 8 trillion naira. That's huge. 8 trillion naira from travel and tours in 2019. And I could imagine between 2019 and now, where Japa has become the trend, you can imagine that amount.
How much of it?
How much of that. And so we love to travel, except that where our choices differ. Some people love to travel locally, some internationally. And I've discovered in the last 2 years, Nigerians love to travel to places like UK, US, Canada, or UAE, which is Dubai. Those places of interest from some for business reasons, some for official reasons, some for issue of migration. They need to seek greener pasture. So there are different reasons, but whatever reason is, the statistics have shown that Nigerians will enjoy traveling. I don't know about you.
Yes, travel is part of life. It's what exposes you to the culture and people from other areas. So you rightly mentioned that Nigerians love to travel, whether for business, for tour. And at this time of the year, you have people wanting to go on vacation with families and just enjoy, having been busy from the start of the year till about this time. But though there's a challenge, it's expensive. Travel is never cheap, particularly for those who embark on international travel. So the cost of flights, air tickets and all is some of the reasons why you don't find people travel as much as they would want to. Because when people go on yearly leave, for those who are in corporate service, a lot of them want to just go away from their environment, change scene and see other things. And even if it's just for a week, they come back looking fresher, having seen other people. So if you've had some friends who have traveled, even when you travel too, it's always exciting wanting to get back and tell the story of what you've seen and all of that. So this is what is contributing to the growth of the sector. And with different agencies coming up to modify packages, add some creative things into it that makes it quite interesting. And so people look forward to it. Some even plan from the beginning of the year, they're beginning to save up towards it so that at that time when they need to go on such trips, then money is not really an issue towards that. And I think that some travel and tour agencies have plans like that enable you to install payment in installments, towards that. So it's very good because it's educational. And it also opens opportunities for other allied industry to thrive. For instance, let's look at those who come into Nigeria wanting to visit places or for businesses. Without such people, you would not have the hospitality sector thrive because except you move from where you are, you would rarely need the services of a hotel. So it opens up businesses for different sectors, and it's one of the fastest growing sectors in Nigeria. Yes, Joy Akpa is back with us. We'll now continue her thoughts talking about travels and tour in Nigeria. So you were talking about what it takes to have travel and tour going on for clients.
Sorry about that. Network challenge over there. Okay, what it takes to have a travel and tours company in Nigeria, like I was saying earlier, you need to be registered and accredited with the essential bodies, National Association of Nigerian Travel Agencies. That's in Nigeria. Body that governs all travel agencies. In Nigeria, we have the NCAA, we have IATA. IATA is an international body, a travel authority that is interested in basically regulating the international body. That's the medium of how we issue our tickets here in Nigeria. And most of the corporate organizations, if you are not registered with either of them, if you're not registered with IATA, if you're not registered with NCAA, if you're not registered with NANTA, these are that if you amongst others. You cannot register with basically this three. Most corporate organizations will not enable you or will not give you the authority to handle their travel agent, not enable you to handle their ticketing requests because if you are registered with these bodies, at this point they can trust you. They know the aviation industry knows you. They know where to find you. They know you are trading on the legal ground because our industry deals with so much money that it's really not yours. So these are basically some of the institutions you need to register with for you to come on board as a travel consultant.
I'd like to know the level of patronage when it comes to travels and tours. You know, how profitable it is in Nigeria. What has been the reaction of people or the level of patronage when it comes to tours and travels in Nigeria?
The level of patronage when it comes to travel, Nigerians are heavy travelers. Nigerians love to travel a lot. But in recent times, that has slowed down to so much percentage. Before now, this is October, we would have had a very good volume of requests. But now, a lot of people are having to plan ahead for their children resuming schools and all because of dollar rates. Because if you're traveling, if you buy a ticket, it doesn't stop there. You have to spend when you get there. You have to buy things. You have to. The shopping is one aspect that cannot be overrated. And have to at least bring one or two for friends and families. And you have to also have a nice time. And for you to enjoy a nice time outside Nigeria, you have to use the country's mode of exchange, and which basically dollar is one of the universal. So travels in Nigeria has actually dropped. It used to be better before now, but with the consistent increase in dollar, I heard that yesterday dollar was 1,304 to 1 naira. I don't know if that is correct, but that's what I was told from the black market yesterday. So it has actually affected the travel industry heavily.
Tourism. Apart from tourism outside the shores of Nigeria, we have domestic tours. Now, since the dollar has greatly impacted travels, are people now turning to domestic tours? Do you have an increase in demand for domestic tours?
We have domestic tours. We do not have so much requests on domestic tours as such. Nigerians like to visit other countries, more especially European countries and America. It's just of late that Nigerians started visiting African countries. And we have the best destinations in Africa. So, but talking about this dollar and having Nigerians visiting Nigeria, we don't have so much request on that. I guess because of the insecurity in Nigeria. I guess that's basically the cause or the effect why Nigerians are not willing to visit places in Nigeria. A few places Nigerians would like to visit are maybe Lagos, Lekki Conservation Land, there's Tapatai Tropicana and the rest. Nigerians would want to visit Lagos. But aside that, there are so many other destinations that Nigerians would not like to visit due to insecurity. And the Obudu, the famous Obudu cattle ranch that Nigerians love to visit, is no longer the taste of what it used to be before now. So We are not having our government sustain places that are put up, and we're not having sustainability of those places. We just create places, but we don't sustain it for it to in turn bring in revenue at a longer run. So we are we are deficient in sites, basically due to insecurity. And the places that are supposed to be functioning are not actually maintained up to the standards at which it will enable people to visit or want to visit.
All right, Joy, as we wrap up, I would like you to talk about some of the regulations or incentives that government can provide to ensure that people take interest in tourism, to boost the interest of investors or people who want to take advantage of tourism. Talk to us about some of the regulation or incentives that government can put in place to achieve this.
And regulations, the government can put in incentives like they can drop off some of the taxes they levy on the travel agents. They can drop some of the taxes to enable our business to boom, especially in this time when we are having challenges with the dollar rates. It's one of the ways to encourage agents. And talking about incentives, I think the government should also speak to the international bodies. There are a lot of charges and levies that are put on the Nigerian travelers that we don't find in other destinations. In other destinations, there are some taxes that are not found on tickets, but here in Nigeria, they come up with all kinds of taxes. And it's as though when these international airlines are coming in, I don't know what agreement is being signed. I don't know how it's being reviewed. I don't know how uh, what the benefit is to Nigerian citizens, because from all I know, it seems it's just the international bodies that profit, and we are left to the detriment of our own mercy. For some tickets, like international tickets that you expect, if there's a no-show, the customer should pay so charges, which is understandable. If you miss your flight, you are meant to pay the penalty for that. But there are some taxes you find on tickets or some change rates. If I buy a ticket of 1 million and at the time of change, I'm paying a difference of 800 and something, I will feel robbed. And that's what is common in the industry today. The taxes, the rates, clients are being mandated to pay to make use of their existing tickets. It's alarming and heavily overwhelming. I think if the government can look into this, this will help us to have a seamless way of transacting business here in Nigeria, especially in the hospitality industry. And also for incentives, I would say for the domestic airlines in Nigeria, they can do better. Most of the time, we agents are the ones that recruit patronage for these airlines. But when the airlines begin to operate and are beginning to get very efficient and have gained the trust of the masses, they forget the agents. I think there should be a level of incentive given to agents, and it can come in terms of discounts. You can have some percentage of discount. Only a few do it. Only a few give discounts, like Airpeace give some percentage of discounts. They encourage the agents. Um, Overland does, Ghana does from time to time. But I'm calling on airlines like Ibom Air, Green Africa, Value Jets, just to mention but a few, to begin to recognize travel agents.
Hello, can you hear me, Joy?
Avail us with some of the incentives.
Can you hear me?
Encourage us to do better.
Well, thank you so much. It's been it's ended with a call-out season. Oh yes, for those who, according to Joy, have been found wanting to begin to give back to agents where they have helped. In the first case, to endear you to, or endear the airlines to the masses. But thank you very much for coming on the show today. It is hoped that the government will give every necessary support to the tourism and hospitality industry in Nigeria, and we hope the industry as well as other industries in Nigeria continue to thrive.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate, and it was a nice time here with you.
Know that. All right, it's been a wrap. That's a wrap today on the show. I am Blessing AHA. What a way to start the weekend. So the lesson from that is that whatever you do, do it right so you don't get called out. I wish you a great weekend. And Femi.
And for me, you can always catch up with us on YouTube, on Facebook, to get a repeat of this program and to also share your view. I am Femi Ayodele. Have a great weekend.